Good morning and shalom, brothers and sisters in Christ. There are two characters in the Old Testament that I admire a lot. They are Joseph and Daniel. Today, let us look at one aspect in the life of Joseph. Those of us who have read about Joseph in Genesis 39 will remember that as Joseph served his Egyptian master, the Lord blessed the household of the Egyptian because of Joseph. What a wonderful feeling to have, when you are being an influence to the people around you. So, and as Christians, we want to be people of influence. And in Joseph's life, however, he was falsely accused of trying to seduce his master's wife and was put in prison. Joseph approached his imprisonment with a very positive attitude and was duly rewarded as he found favor in the eyes of the prison warden and was then made overseer of the prison. In prison, he correctly interpreted the dream of the chief cupbearer and the chief baker. Joseph reminded the chief cupbearer to mention his name to Pharaoh and get him out of the prison once he was released from prison. Joseph was about to face another setback. And today we want to look at a couple of scriptures in Genesis chapter 40 and 41. First of all, let's turn to Genesis chapter 40, verse 14. Genesis 40, verse 14. But when all goes well with you, remember me and show me kindness. Mention me to Pharaoh and get me out of this prison. And then in verse 23, the last verse in this chapter, the chief cupbearer, however, did not remember Joseph. He forgot him. And the next verse is in chapter 41, verse 1. When 2 full years had passed, Pharaoh had a dream. He was standing by the Nile. I have entitled my devotion as Divine Delays. Divine Delays. When Pharaoh's cupbearer was freed from prison, he forgot about Joseph for 2 whole years, and Joseph was sitting in prison, waiting for his time to be taken out of prison. This kind of thing had been happening to Joseph all his life. His life seemed to take one step forward and 2 steps backwards. The irony was that the setbacks was rarely the result of his actions, but rather the interventions of other people in his life. Unfair treatment had become his constant lot. He had been abused by his brothers, falsely accused by his master's wife, unjustly condemned and punished by his master, and now completely forgotten in the prison. But the Lord did not forget Joseph. Joseph's faith was deep, and I believe Joseph was unshaken in his conviction that the Lord was sovereign. By the time he had reached his late 20s, Joseph had experienced enough discouragement to last most people a lifetime. But he displayed a remarkable maturity and resilience, which qualities are a model for all of us to follow. When we feel passed by, overlooked, or forgotten, we shouldn't be surprised that people are often ungrateful. More opportunities may be waiting. Men may forget, but God will remember Joseph. There are seasons in our life to which God leads us when it seems that nothing is happening and that God's purposes for our lives appear to be temporarily shelved. God's delays are not his denials. God has a purpose in everything he does. He may conceal the purpose of his ways, but his ways are always with purpose. One of the most difficult things to do in the Christian life is to wait for God's purposes to come to pass. Sometimes they take so long to materialize that we find ourselves getting frustrated. Have you heard about the Christian who prayed, Lord, give me patience, and I want it right now? We would rather do anything than wait. A man told a Christian counselor, waiting for God to bring his purposes to pass is the biggest problem I face in my Christian life. There's something within me that would rather do the wrong thing than wait. I think some of us may echo similar words, as it's not in human nature to wait. The waiting time in which we find ourselves is God's classroom for the development of character in us. It is in the waiting time that such qualities as patience, persistence, perseverance, and self-control are built into us. In Joseph's case, the most natural response to discouragement is to complain. But there's no evidence that Joseph indulged himself in this regard. Has God given you in the past a vision of something that you knew was definitely from Him, but now the vision has died? Then don't be discouraged. This is the way God works. He's using the waiting time to change your ideas to His ideas. And during this waiting time, remember that Satan is also working for his purpose is to get you to fulfill the vision by your own human effort. Whenever you do this, you will end up in conflict. Praying that this devotion will bless each one of you during this RMCO. May God bless each one of you and have a blessed day.